What is up, faithful? What is up, Niner gang? You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. What I do wouldn't be possible without all of you supporting the program, so I just always like to say thank you. Coming up here on the show, we have a breaking news update on the injury status of quarterback Brock Purdy going into Week 4, how San Francisco can beat one of the top defenses in the NFL, because this Jags defense is legit with Brock Purdy at quarterback if he does play. And then in the aftermath of the Niners losing Nick Bosa for the rest of the 2025 season with that torn ACL that he suffered against the Cardinals, Bryce Huff, who has been great to start the season for this Niners defense under Robert Saleh, is ready to step up with no Nick Bosa. And let's begin here. Biggest story of the day for San Francisco, because the quarterback position, most important position in all of sports, plus Brock Purdy is one of the more elite quarterbacks in the NFL. As we know, he has been limited in practice the last 2 weeks, dealing with turf toe, but also an AC joint sprain in his non-throwing shoulder. But signs point to him being able to play against Jacksonville, which obviously would be a big boost for this Niners offense. Here's what Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network said this morning about the injury status of Purdy. He has been back at practice this week on a limited basis. He actually practiced at the end of last week too. Did very, very little dealing with that turf toe, essentially a sprained toe. Also has that sprained AC joint in his left shoulder that is less problematic. Because of it being his second week of practice for Purdy, basically him getting to a point where he has reached a zone where he'll be able to play. It certainly seems like he's got a real chance to be back on the field for the 49ers on Sunday, who have unbelievably kept winning since he has been out. Certainly something to keep an eye on since he has been out, but some positivity there. And things have been moving in this direction because Purdy has really progressed well in his rehab with this turf toe. And obviously, as he's been out the last 2 games, with the Niners on the road against the Saints, at home against the Arizona Cardinals, this man to my right, number 10, not Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones. He has played great while Purdy has been out. He's thrown for nearly 300 yards in each of his starts, and San Francisco went 2-0 in those starts. What a great job by him, being prepared, playing well, executing, and running this offense nearly flawlessly. And obviously, he had a fumble against New Orleans. He threw a bad pick against Arizona. But other than that, he did what you need a backup to do. Stable the ship, keep the team's head above water while the starter is out, and he inspired a lot of confidence in Niner fans, the coaching staff, and the rest of his teammates. The guy's got some swagger, and he's really revived his career with San Francisco. Nobody else wanted him. Kyle Shanahan and the Niners did, and Mac Jones looks as though he can be a solid starter across the NFL if he once again gets that opportunity, but the Patriots got rid of him. The Jaguars didn't want him any longer. Kyle Shanahan brings him in, and he's looked like a legitimate quarterback the last 2 weeks. Good job by Mac Jones for how he's really approached this situation, and he even said it after the game. I'm happy we got the win, but Brock Purdy is one of my best friends, and I can't wait for him to be back out there. Now, the good news for Mac and for Purdy and the Niners, if Purdy can't go, Mac Jones, who, again, played very well in those 2 games where Purdy was absent and hurt, he injured his knee against the Cardinals, re-injured the same knee that he injured against the Raiders in week 2 of the preseason. So if Purdy can't play, you have to feel very good about Mac Jones being able to play because he did practice on Wednesday and the arrow is pointing up for him. And while Mac played great, there is no quarterback controversy here. I don't want to hear that from anybody down in the comments section. Undoubtedly, Brock Purdy is the better player, and the 49ers as a team are better with Purdy at QB. Here's what John Lynch said on the radio this morning in San Francisco. He really looked good, Purdy did, at Wednesday's practice. We'll see how he responds today. His progression has been a really good one. And obviously the Niners are going to practice a little bit later today. I'm recording this at 2:12 p.m. Eastern as of this moment. And obviously that is 11:12 a.m. on the West Coast. And so with Purdy being back out there, this is going to be a really solid test against this Jags team in week 4. If he plays or if Mac Jones is once again manning the quarterback spot. What you need to know about this Jaguars defense is that they are for real. Here's where they rank, and here's some takeaways when I scout Jacksonville on that side of the ball to start the season. They are number 2 in EPA per play. They have 9 takeaways in 3 games. That matches their total from the entire 2024 campaign. Those 9 takeaways include 7 interceptions the first 3 games of the year. Josh Hines-Allen, a terrific player at that edge rusher spot. He has a pressure rate of 14.1%. And so if he's matched up against Colt McKivitz or Trent Williams, look out for him, number 44. Cornerback Jordan Lewis is also having a really good year. He has 3 giveaways himself, 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. Jacksonville not giving up a lot of points this year. They rank 6th in points per game allowed, 10th in yards per game allowed. On the other side of Josh Hines-Allen, you have Trayvon Walker, a young blossoming player who in each of his first 3 years in the NFL has progressed. He's gotten better. Once again, grading out well so far here in year 4. And the Jags are doing this under new defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile, who used to work on that Packers staff under Jeff Hafley. And that Packers defense, obviously, the last 2 years has been very good under the former Boston College head coach in Jeff Hafley, who I imagine could get some head coaching looks after this year if the Packers continue to play well on defense, both at the college level and at the professional level. And so what the 49ers must do in order to beat Jacksonville and fare well against their defense, take care of the football. The Jags have done a great job of generating turnovers. When you win the turnover margin at the NFL level, you win about 80% of games. You also, the Niners do, have to figure out their red zone woes. This was a problem last year, and it's been problematic this year. A big reason for that, in a condensed field, when you're inside the 20, and when you have an average, mediocre offensive line and you can't run the football, you're not going to be a good unit inside the red area. And that has happened to the Niners this year. This is crazy, but this is because the Niners haven't had a good offensive line in the red area running the football as a team, regardless of where they are on the field. They haven't run the football efficiently. And in week 3 against Arizona, they have a really good defensive line. The guard play for San Francisco was not good. Dominic Pooney or Connor Colby. And to start this season, Christian McCaffrey has 13 carries in the red zone for just 7 yards. Not sustainable. The Niners have to figure it out, but they haven't really addressed the offensive line over the last few years. And so this average offensive line has to play better against this good Jags front. And what I like about Mac Jones and what he did the last 2 games, against the Saints, 8 different players caught a pass. Against the Cardinals, 7 different players caught a pass. When you're short-handed on offense, dealing with injuries at wide receiver and tight end, how do you make up for that? You make up for it by having a well-rounded approach, playing a collective team brand of football. The Niners have been able to do that. Mac Jones is playing point guard, and Brock Purdy obviously capable of doing that as well. We've seen it with our eyes. So with that, who you got in this game? It's a sneaky good matchup. If you like defensive-oriented football, type JAC for Jacksonville, SF for San Francisco. Coming up on the other side, Bryce Huff is ready to step up with Nick Bosa being out for the rest of the year. And I think a lot of you might be surprised by how well Bryce Huff has been playing to start the year. But first, let's get to our sponsor. Today's San Francisco 49ers report brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. #1 fantasy sports app in North America. You can win big up to 2,000 times your money. Available in 45 states across the country. And Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also puts their users first. All withdrawals fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. PrizePicks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and does not return, PrizePicks will not count it as a loss. It's the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Turn your takes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. Our card for Sunday, let's go with Jalen Hurts more than a half passing yard. That's the special. Christian McCaffrey more than 42.5 receiving yards. And then Travis Hunter more than 35.5 receiving yards. Download the app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, as for Nick Bosa, surgery is set for the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year. According to General Manager John Lynch, he was on the radio here on this Thursday morning, and he relayed the news that Bosa will get ACL surgery on Friday. It is a clean ACL tear, which could help his recovery, even though this is the second time that he's going to get the right ACL operated on, and in 2020, he injured his left ACL. Speaking of ACL recoveries, ACL injuries, Brandon Ayuk did not have a clean ACL tear. He tore his ACL, MCL, and had other structural damage. He suffered that injury in October of last year. He has to miss at least the first 6 weeks of the year, and according to Lynch, Ayuk's not close. There's no absolutes on these things, he said. He's got to continue to hit markers. He's tracking well. We'll be a better team when Brandon's out there, but it's not close. So a reason why his recovery timeline might be longer than Bosa's, again, his injury more severe, and he had more structural damage in that knee. As for Bryce Huff, without Bosa, he's going to have to play a bigger role. And I'm going to be keeping my eyes on number 47 on Sunday, because it's one thing when you're Robin. It's another thing when you have to be Batman. And without Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff now has to be Batman. All of the double teams that went toward Bosa, some of those double teams will now go to Bryce Huff. How will he be able to handle those double teams? We'll see. Now, to start this year, he has been awesome. A highway robbery of a trade by John Lynch, trading away a fifth, which can become a fourth. Huff helped to close and win that game against the Saints in Week 2 with that strip sack of Spencer Rattler. He was once again in Week 3 against Arizona. His quick burst, twitch, and explosiveness off the line, that fast get-off, really is a sight to behold. His overall PFF grade through 3 games, 89.9. That ranks 5th among 155 edge rushers. His pass rush grade, 90.1. That too ranks 5th. He has 11 pressures. That ranks 23rd among edge rushers. 2 sacks ranks 13th. And he has a pass rush win rate of 24.6%. That's also top 10, checking in at number 8. And Brian Baldinger, going into Week 3, after Huff had that game winner against the Saints, said a lot of the same things that I said back in March when I said the Niners should trade for Bryce Huff. And then after that trade was finalized over the summer. The Eagles made a mistake, Baldy said. He's not a linebacker. He's a pass rush specialist. He's got to put his hand in the dirt. He's not an outside linebacker like they wanted him to be in Philadelphia. Robert Saleh knows what Huff is. He closed the game out against the Saints like Nick Bosa did the game before. Nick has somebody who can come off the edge opposite of him right now. Huff is better than anybody they had over there at defensive end the last couple of years. Now, that sucks to read that, hear that, and listen to that, knowing that they lasted 2+ games together, Huff and Bosa, as an edge rusher duo, because I thought they complemented each other extremely well. But it's also good that Huff has gotten off to a great start, and he looks to be every bit of the player who he was in 2023 under Robert Saleh when he had double-digit sacks and 67 pressures. Here's what Huff said about Bosa being out. It's really a next man up mentality. We've all been brought here to perform at a high level. So with Nick being out, we really have to pick up the slack on that front, go out there and put our best foot forward. And I think that Robert Saleh can put these guys in a position to succeed. So a big question moving forward for San Francisco, can the Niners make the playoffs without Nick Bosa? Share your thoughts with me. Sound off down in the comment section. P for playoffs, M for miss.